Good morning. My name is Nina Hentz, and I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, with a special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. For those of you who are online, if you wish to share your joys and concerns during Lifelines, please put them in the chat function in the next 15 minutes so that we can pull those off. Our minister is the Reverend Walter LaFleur, and he is in the pulpit today. We have a multi-generational service today, and his focus is that which remains. Please take a moment to ensure that your cell phones are turned off or on silent. And if you feel comfortable, share in the words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness or overcome with joy, needing to be alone with yourself or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And join us in our covenant. We commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and be a force for good in the world.
Good morning, everybody. This morning, I'm going to play for you a Billy Joel song. I love Billy Joel, and this is actually a song I didn't know, and I couldn't believe it, by Billy Joel. And one of my piano students introduced me to this song. Every year I have a rock and roll recital, and we hire a backup band, and they learn a song. And she was going to play this one called Vienna. And she changed her mind and ended up playing Big Ol' Hunk of Love by Elvis. But it was totally different than this. But this is a song about an older person speaking to a younger person, saying, kind of slow down, and things will still be waiting, and you don't have to do everything all at once. So if you know it, you're welcome to sing along. And unfortunately, the piano is turned this way, so I can only really communicate with these 10 people. But but the rest of you can just, you can just imagine. Slow down, you crazy child. child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then if you're so smart, why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. Hey, hey, hey. But you know that when the truth is told, that you can get all you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you want to be before your time. Although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so afraid yourself that you forgot what you need. Though you can know when you're wrong, you know you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You get your passion, you got your pride, but don't you know that only fools are only satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you crazy child. Take the phone off the hook and disappear for a while. It's all right, you can afford to lose a day or two. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? And you know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? When will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Good morning. I want to just stop and take you in for a moment. It's been a long time since I've seen you from this perspective. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow's only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Our chalice lighting words. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home.
May the light we now kindle heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life.
Good morning. Today, we celebrate and honor two very special people who are bridging today, Asher Lieberman and Emma Jones. And bridging is moving through different stages of life. At this time, I'd like to invite those who are here to come forward, and I'd like to invite their families to join them. You can just come and stand up here. This is fine. Yeah. At our child naming and dedication services, we welcome those at the beginning of childhood into our church community by giving them roses with tightly closed buds on stems from which the thorns have been removed. The buds are symbols of a life just beginning, whose unfolding we, just as they, will experience petal by petal. The thornless stems are vivid images of our intent to protect the children of our church family from all that could be hurtful, to smooth their paths as their lives unfold. As they move into the age of reason, they begin elementary school. Today, we have a unique and wonderful opportunity to name and welcome a child into the age of reason.
What is this child's name? He's over there. Asher, we welcome you as a child of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, and we give you this name as yours forever. If you change this name or prefer another, we will acknowledge the new name with the same joy and dedication that we welcome you today. It is the duty of this congregation to use this name. Asher, we teach you, play with you, and help you to grow.
We also welcome Asher into the age of reason, not with the rose of an infant, but with a gift of wildflower seeds. That was what was in that little bag that I handed him. Asher, you are in a time when the world is full of wonder and magic. Wildflowers are a unique part of that world. They can be unruly and beautiful, unexpected and resilient. They thrive in difficult situations, and they're capable of changing the world if we just let them grow. Asher, when you leave here today, spread some of those seeds in the wildflower garden as a symbol of your place here at UUCR. Then spread the rest of those seeds where you see fit, provided you follow the guidelines of the place where you plan to spread them. Look to your mother and older sibling, your teachers, and of course, your UU community here for guidance as well. Emma, you are at the other edge of childhood, and it's fitting once more to use the symbols of the roses to speak to you and to ourselves of what is to come. You are moving from the age of reason to the age of understanding. The rose you receive today is not the tight buds of babyhood anymore, but a larger, more vividly colored one, closer to opening into a full and glorious flower. We have removed the thorns that to continue to protect you and to smooth your path. This rose will be given to you by your parents. And it's right here. Our last bridger that's named in the order of service today, Jude, is unable to be here today, so we will welcome him and bridge him on June 4th, the same day as we bridge our high schoolers. We have an additional gift for each of you, and they are journals. They contain blank pages. Use them in the next few years to record the incredible, the stressful, the difficult, and the wonderful parts of your unique and fabulous journey. And they're presented to you by our Lifespan Faith Development Coordinator, who's also part of your support team here.
Members and friends of the congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, please affirm your support of these children by stating "we will" after the following. Will you, as their elders, promise to offer wisdom and guidance when asked, while allowing space for Asher, Emma, and Jude to learn on their own? Will you listen when they speak and seek to understand what they will teach you? And will you provide care for scraped knees, broken hearts, and all the bumps that these three may encounter on their paths?
We will.
And will you pledge to value these children and their education, both in the world and in our UU faith, as they grow?
At this time, I'd like to invite Emma and Asher to light a candle from our chalice and to place it in the sand on the altar to remind us of the life, enthusiasm, and vitality you have shared with us here at UUCR, and to remind us to always provide a beacon of hope as you continue your journey into adulthood. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the bridging of these two amazing young people. Go ahead and applaud them. I know you're antsing to do it. And I'd like to invite them and the rest of the young folks in the congregation to join me in the lobby where we can go upstairs and do a little bit of wisdom seeking of our own.
Everywhere you may go.
Speaking of bridging, I think the next four speakers would argue with us that it didn't seem that far away that they were going into middle school and elementary school and high school, but then all of a sudden, they're 80 plus. Our first wisdom sharer today is Hildy Getz. There you are. Hildy is a professor emerita of Virginia Tech. She's a retired licensed professional counselor and marriage and family therapist. She has 2 adult children and 5 grandchildren. She lives with her partner, Ben Murray, and would love us all to know that older adults have a lot of wisdom to share, and they like to be asked to share it. So this is Hildy's opportunity. I can do that.
I didn't know I was actually going to share my wisdom, but I guess turning 80 indeed did make a difference. I was very aware of being 80, but I reminded myself with each decade that it was up to me to how I chose to view this next stage of life. And for me, it was continuing to learn, continuing to be involved, and to participate. I think there's a big challenge in reminding ourselves, but it's important. We aren't real old or elderly, as I guess really is the state, but it's the way we think about it, who we interact with. For example, one of the most precious things for me is interacting with some of my former students who are now professionals in the community or whatever, the younger people. And I have friends who are older than I am too. One dear friend is 10 years older than I am. And I think it's the way we talk and present ourselves that keeps us young in spirit. And I guess I'll just conclude by saying that I have chosen this as my community. And this will be my community throughout the rest of my life. And I'm very happy about that. Thank you all.
Walker Hartman was born and raised in Oklahoma. He has 3 children and 2 granddaughters. They're spread out from the East Coast to the West Coast and all the way over to Ireland. He loves to dance. I don't know if you've ever seen Walker dance. It's a treat. He does both shag and ballroom. He spent his adult career in sales and marketing. And one of his favorite pieces of feedback was, "You are a thinker." And I think that's a really good piece of advice. Walker, would you like to share some of your thinking with us?
Good morning. One sign of advancing age is the notes to keep me going. I noticed in the American Heritage Dictionary that the word wisdom has a number of connotations, one of which is to discern and judge what is right or true or lasting, and then insight. They also define it as being common sense and good judgment, and then also the sum of our learning, our knowledge. I've chosen to focus on insight that seems to radiate more to me in terms of what wisdom is. And I have 4 points for you. Learn how your minds work. It's time for that. The old ego and the old observer mind. We learn about that a lot in Buddhism, but it's important that you understand that because it doesn't always lead you in the right direction. So, if you're aware of that, Bonnie, then you're ready to go, right? There you go. There you go. Be sure as early as you can to identify your skills and abilities, the gifts that you have. They're also important to the survival of our species, and each of us have them. We don't know exactly why or how, but they are there. They seem to be things we do very well, and they come very naturally. Thirdly, be sure to know yourself. And all of you who have been loved or are in love are aware of the need to be aware of your family of origin. Nowhere are you more aware of that, I think, than in marriage. And all of a sudden, they say and you realize that you've grown up in very different families. And of course, you also see many times that it's one of the reasons that you have bonded is that there is a harbor of hope there for you that you can't find in your family of origin. Lastly, when I lost my first wife, the bank sent me a pamphlet on the duties of the person that took care of the estate and such, the executor. And at the top of the first page here, it says, "You have just lost the witness to your life." And boom, the light came on, All of a sudden I realized why I was so lost and unable to focus. I was out and about doing things, even laughing sometimes, and I, of course, was empty inside. And I realized that that was a lot of it. So be aware, that when we find love, one of the functions there is to have a witness to your life. And I thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Jean Edmonds. Jean is a Roanoke native. You may have seen her family name on signs around town, the Bush family. She has 4 grown sons and 12 grandchildren.
Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver, the other is gold. In my advanced age, I've learned the value of new friends. To go into a new situation, a new volunteer opportunity, a new job, you really don't need your 2 old friends on either side. You go where your interest or your heart draws you, and there you make some new friends. I came here 12 years ago, leaving my best friend, my husband, Buddy, at Second Presbyterian Church, and made some new friends. I've been very happy here, and now some of those new friends are now my old friends. I think in relationships, I would encourage us all to be as forgiving as possible. I've seen so many families wrecked by an unforgiving spirit. And I just would pray that we realize that we're all stumbling and bumbling along in this life and we make mistakes, and hopefully we can learn to be forgiving of each other and ourselves. And then I think in response to something someone says to you, whether it's a spouse or a friend or in a meeting, if we can think about our response, is it going to make things better or worse? And if you give yourself just a second to realize that, what I'm going to say is going to escalate this situation and I'm going to make it worse. And so you zip your lip, right? And the third thing I've learned is to try to be kind. There's a saying, if at all possible, be kind. If it's not possible, be kind. And I think being kind doesn't have to be big things, but it can be small things. And the phrase I like to use is gladden a heart. It's not original with me. Henri Ariel is a Swiss theologian, 19th century theologian, and it's his term, gladden a heart. It doesn't have to be just friends or family. You can say to someone in the grocery store, I love your tattoo. Or you can say to someone who has a beautiful child, he's gorgeous. Or you just try to gladden a heart with small things. I have found in my experience that gladdening a heart gladdens my heart. And so if I'm down or low, I might go through my family and friends and see who's lifted up, and I find in gladdening their heart, I gladden my own heart. And so I'm going to leave you with the actual quote from Ariel. Life is short. We have not many hours to gladden the hearts of our fellow travelers in this dark world. So make swift to love, make haste to be kind. Thank you.
I'm learning a lot. I need to process all of this. Our final speaker has a PhD in assistive technologies and loves working with people with disabilities, but was very unhappy when she found herself in a wheelchair and having to learn to rewalk. If you've never been treated to a story from Bonnie Nelson, today is your treat because she loves her stories.
When I found out I didn't have 5 hours to explain what I've learned in 80 years, okay, like that. Okay. when I found out I didn't have 5 hours to explain what I'd learned in 80 years, two things did flip into my mind instantly. One was something I wished I had known, and the second was something I surely learned in the best and the hardest way. So I'll share a bit. I'll try to resist telling long stories. It's hard. One thing I wished I'd known is how fast your life can flip. And if you have a bucket list, don't keep putting it off. If you could retire early, if you could afford that, that's my advice. That's the thing I wished I had known before I became 80. The second thing I for sure learned was the importance of a mother or a father or someone who loves you, the support of a loved one. I can tell an hour and a half story about how my brother and I chose our mother. Our father was a widow, and we thought he didn't know how to choose it, so we proposed to every waitress we met. Any rate, I promise I won't go into that story. But the thing I've learned from her support, which was absolutely unique and wonderful, is it doesn't matter if you can support someone, even if they can't help you back. There's a kind of ripple on that. If you do it with gratitude, it's wonderful. It makes a big difference in life. It made all the difference in my life. And I'll close with saying it's hard to age in our culture. I feel very lucky to afford my condo and to have the food you guys supported when I was in the hospital. So even still, the difference in some cultures for support is your aging. And I was an exchange student at the University of Stockholm and lived in an apartment building with a family. And I learned about a woman there who was kind of like the caretaker of the building. You'd go to her if you needed help. But she had 2 young children. She was not married. And there was a man that I thought was her father in a wheelchair. But that they don't have as many, they don't, at least in those days, they didn't have nursing homes. They put people with families, kind of gave them a family. And her 2 children treated that man like he was their grandfather. And they rode with him in his lap in his wheelchair. And sometimes in the elevator, I would help him push him out and all. It was such a different perspective compared to our culture. Thank you.
Just for clarity's sake, those are not the only folks who carry wisdom in our congregation. While I was at my prior congregation in Poughkeepsie, New York, a few members and I brought Mel Tiger back to life. Well, not literally, but in our lived experience of him. We gathered to spread his ashes at the base of a tree planted in his honor right outside the main entry of the congregation. It was a pink dogwood intended to reflect his deep commitment and connection to his faith community. I hesitate to say we brought him back to life. It sounds callous and irreverent, I guess, in a way. But that is, in fact, what we did. Each of us, there at that ceremony, relived our experience of Mel. Our memories of him brought him back into the present tense under that tree that was planted for him. He was very much alive in our lives for those moments. We remembered our times with him. We told joyful and funny stories of our time with him, the physical and visible part of him. His ashes were buried at the base of that tree. I'm going to digress for a moment, so bear with me. I can't mention Mel without my very favorite image of him coming alive in my mind's eye. Mel of some 70 plus years. Early one Sunday morning, long before church began, I walked into the kitchen and I saw two legs dangling from the ceiling. You'll see them in my mind's eye. Yeah. Thighs, knees, legs, shoes, two legs. Mel at work in service of his faith community. Helen Keller said, "What we have once enjoyed, we can never lose. All that we love deeply becomes part of us. If that's true, as long as I live, so will a part of Mel as a part of who I am and have become, and a part of my notion of what it means to be a member in a congregation." We're a culture that lives so much in the present tense, often with a focus on the future. Our cultural tendency is to relegate the past to the past. It's not here and now. As if a thought, belief, experience is packed in a box to be left in a closet. Now, I'm convinced we underestimate the degree to which the past is alive in our lives. Where were you when JFK was assassinated? My guess is you can remember where you were, how old you were, how you heard the news. You can probably feel some of the feelings you felt at that time. I was in 6th grade. Mr. Stevens, one of my all-time favorite teachers, was teaching science. It was the afternoon. He was called to the office. And when he came back, his face signaled something was not right. He looked like he may have been crying. I don't remember what he told us or how he told us. We all knew it was not good. But I don't know that we really understood in 6th grade. It was either close to the time school normally got out, or we were let out early. That part I simply don't remember. I know we weren't in the classroom for much longer that day. I walked home as usual, and when I went inside my house, Mother was sitting in the living room watching the television, a very, very unusual event. She was crying. I remember her saying, "They shot President Kennedy." It was a Friday. We watched a lot of news for several days. Ringing any bells? Can you go back to that time? Can you bring that time into this time? Do you remember the feelings, your sensations? There are other events that have stayed with me over many, many years. The first landing on the moon, 9/11. My daughter's face the first time I saw her being rolled on a little cart from the birthing room to the nursery. All still elicit vivid imageries in my mind's eye. We never know when we will be taken aback or taken back into our own history. We never know when we'll hear an old song that brings back memories, experiences, rushing back into our awareness, sometimes wonderful, sometimes on the painful side. Suddenly, we can be transported into that time, into that place, a part of our lives that had been hidden from view, from review, can be relived in that moment. We can feel the sadness of that time, that place, or the energy, joy, and excitement. Words come back without effort. We sing along. If we stay with that re-experiencing of the past, we can see that time and place impacted who we are in the present tense, in the here and now, if we let ourselves go back to that time and place, that experience. We might want to relive that time, or we're amazed by the truth of it. At a small dinner party not long ago, we were talking about the Grand Canyon. Without recognizing when and how the conversation shifted, someone was explaining why she did not put sugar in her tea. She told how her mother had grown up with few means. Sugar was a bit of an extravagance, not to be wasted in tea. This grown woman, sitting at the table with us, had incorporated her mother's habit and perspective into her own life, carrying it forward. Sugar was not meant for tea. The conversation is easily moved to other areas of our lives, significantly impacted by prior experiences, often our experiences of and with others. My father lived through the Depression, probably like many of your folks. He, like others, attributed those years and experiences to having had a lasting impact on him and his behavior. The apartment I grew up in had a good-sized storage room near the back door. It was Dad's space. It was packed, front to back, side to side, top to bottom, with a lane going toward the back. You couldn't quite get to the back. He kept his tools there, and so many other things. For the most part, he knew what was there and where they were. He saved things. He used things sparingly and was known to repurpose them. Now, I didn't experience the Great Depression, at least not directly, but I'm convinced I got to save it because you might need it, Gene, from my father, much to the chagrin of the woman with whom I live. I do believe these things can be passed down through generations, if not by genetics, then by some process that I can't identify. Some interesting research has been done in this area. Psychologists have studied family trees and found that not only genetics are passed through generations, but also behavioral traits. It seems it's not at all unusual for patterns to be passed from one generation to another, sometimes even skipping generations. Patterns of how people deal with feelings, for example, can travel across generations. Clearly, there are dynamics that we recognize and stereotypically associate with culture. Your culture, my culture, their culture. Emotional Greeks or Italians, for example. Stiff upper lip of the British. Flamboyant colors of the African and Caribbean cultures. But even within cultures, behavioral traits or how people respond to emotions are often passed down through generations like a river flowing through the ages. Many families have cross-generational histories and members with a tendency to abuse alcohol or drugs. There are families with generational histories of suicide. There's a fair amount of documentation that suggests how people deal with death is correlated with family history and the larger society in which they find themselves. While much of that which remains may not be visible to the eye, we are surrounded by cues of the past. This is particularly apparent within the cultural dynamics of any group, any cohort, any gathering. What issues are spoken of, and what issues are known to exist but go unmentioned, as if unnoted? Who within any group is heard? Who within any group is heard? And who goes largely unacknowledged, as if not present? What issues are allowed to be discussed and which exist in the background, silently and prominently? Who within a group is given deference, and who or whom is allowed no slack at all? It often requires new eyes to recognize these dynamics, as if it is so often hard to recognize that which is typical or normal. Time is an interesting concept. I had a boss once who used to encourage us not to be overly concerned with mistakes. We're in a personnel organization at a large corporation. He'd say, in 100 years, no one will care. It was helpful most of the time. How we see ourselves in reference to time varies greatly. At one moment, while very young, we can see ourselves as a big boy. The very next day, we might say, but I'm only 5, right? And I'm convinced adults have some version of that same thing, but I won't go there this morning. Some of us, with decades of life experience, see ourselves as not very old, but at some point it becomes unavoidably clear we have aged. With age, we can see ourselves as over the hill, or we can perceive ourselves to have accumulated wisdom. Today, we've been honored by wisdom. Today is a day of abundance, a day of celebration, a day of hope. And the ongoing hope for this faith community lies in the generosity of us all. The offering will be gratefully received. Thank you. We're grateful for your presence. We're grateful for your memories, and we're grateful for your contributions.
Good morning. I'm Terry Smith, here to represent the Caring Committee and share our regular Lifeline segment. If you have an item of a joy or concern that you would like shared with our congregation, we invite you to write it in our Caring logbook, which spends the week on the podium beside the name tag board. We keep it on the altar before and after services, or you could email the church office or contact a member of the Caring Committee with something you'd like shared. I'm going to flash back a little bit to May 15th. Celeste Lee put an entry in the book, and that was just before our picnic, so I don't think this has ever been announced to the committee. But she's very happy that her daughter, Allison, was married in a previous weekend in New York City. The celebration will continue this summer when family and friends gather in Italy. Allison and Daniel will continue their busy, happy lives in New York, at least until Allison completes graduate school. So belated, but nonetheless wonderful congratulations. Beth Carruthers is very proud of her grandson, 6 years old. His name is Becker, correct? Okay. And he recently won a medal for his soccer playing at the age of 6. And Mary and Jimbo Harshfield's daughter, Karen, gave birth to a healthy 7-pound, 5-ounce baby boy on Monday. His name is Julian Daniel Castro. And needless to say, they're very happy with the new addition to their family. Now, if you have a silent joy or concern in your heart, we invite you to come forward and light a candle.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
May this time of reverence stay with us through the week and bring joy to your heart.
Come with me into a time of prayer, meditation, reflection. Bringer of joy, bringer of sadness, bringer of life itself, we honor you today. We honor you because we know that with life comes happiness, sadness, growth, and newness. We know that life begets life, and that wisdom begets wise decisions and an understanding of life itself as a journey that we must travel, but a journey not of our control. We're but players in the unfolding of the universe, yet we are important. We are so very important, each of us, important players. We are needed. We are wanted. We bring the hopes and wisdom of our times, ages, hopes, and our aspirations. We need one another. We need one another, for none of us can make it alone. Lean into our togetherness. Help feed who we are and who we are becoming. Amen.
We have just a few announcements this morning. They can be found on the inside of your program. Today is the last day to discuss the eighth principle. They will be meeting right after the service. And then next Sunday is our annual meeting. That's a very important time for all of us to gather together. Packets were emailed to people on the mailing list on the 19th of May. And if you did not get that, check. Sometimes the emails from UCR go into a different folder, especially if you have Gmail. So check some of your other folders if you didn't get that email. And there's hard copies out on the table in the foyer. We have 5 delegates going to GA this summer. In addition to Rev Walter, we have Erica Joyner, Elizabeth Hoffman, Claire English, Teresa Poole, and Gordon Malashevsky. So if you have anything you'd like them to share, some of them are here today, touch bases with them before June 21st. We have a clean climate and clean energy rally on the corner this afternoon, right after the service. And finally, we need a new coordinator for special collections. Heidi has been doing that this year. So details on that will be in the June newsletter.
The closing song is, won't work at all. So I asked Betsy if she wanted to sing with me because Betsy asked me if I wanted to sing with her on Friday at 3rd Street Coffee House. And we did, and we called our band Tired. Because I had been sick for nearly a week, and finally today I feel better.
Just old.
And Betsy said she was just old. So this is our band Tired, and we're going to sing Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky, and the words are going to be on the screen. I can do it. See, look how tired Betsy is. And while Betsy's back there doing that, I want to say 2 things. One, it's Catherine Hoffman, not Elizabeth Hoffman. Nobody in our church is named Elizabeth Hoffman, and that's okay. But it's Catherine. I know that's what it says. I don't know why. And the other is that in addition to the annual meeting, what you really want to come for is choir music Sunday, because there's going to be a lot of choir songs, fun ones. Some ones that you've heard us sing before, and I swear you liked them. So we're going to have lots. I'm trying to persuade my son to play the guitar. Betsy will be singing too as part of the choir. Jean will be there. Lorraine will be there. So we're going to do, I think, 7 or 8 songs. Lowell and Cynthia are going to bring their fiddle and cello. It'll be a big old music fest. So if you weren't planning on coming for the annual meeting, which you should be, you should definitely come for Choir Sunday. All right, and this is Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky. It is hymn 301, not 391, in our hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition. But if you would like to sing, the words are there. It's a catchy tune if you don't know it. Oh, I'm not in that key. Sorry, I changed the key.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land, our faith a quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky. Children ask the reasons why. In our lives the answers show and by our love they learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die. Life's the time left in between to follow a star, to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can give, for this is what it means to live. Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever high. Spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
Know that you matter, that you make a difference in the unfolding of the universe. Go into your week.